So how do you find crypto airdrops? Oftentimes, if you're like myself, you're either super early and you feel like you're one of the first early contributors, or you're one of those individuals that by the time that an airdrop checker is finally out, you're only finding about the project once there's a checker. And by that time, it's simply just too late. And you get to enjoy seeing everybody else on social media talk about their six-figure airdrop that you simply, if only you had known about the project beforehand, you would have participated and you missed the boat. I'm sure there's a solid amount of people out there, especially if you're just starting to get into farming airdrops and looking at airdrop opportunities, especially as it's been a very, very hot meta. Well, this video is going to be for you. We're going to talk about some of the top websites to go to find airdrops, how best to participate in airdrops, and ways to be able to oftentimes what is called double or triple farm, where you can earn airdrops from 2 or 3 projects with the same amount of capital. All of that and more in today's video. If you're new here, my name is Alex. Talk about crypto, crypto news, crypto passive income. If you enjoy content like that, consider subscribing. You enjoyed this video, smash up the like. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. So this video is going to be broken down into 3 different parts. First of all, we're going to talk about where you can find airdrops. What are some of the websites that you should go to see some of the up and coming projects that are going to have airdrops coming up. Second, we'll talk about how you can earn towards airdrops. Look at some of the platforms, especially on the social media side, that by simply posting content, and we'll kind of look at how you can grow a social media account primarily on X and be able to generate good quality posts that earn you towards an airdrop. Very, very simple. It doesn't actually cost any money oftentimes. And then lastly, we'll talk about how you can double, triple, and sometimes quadruple farm the same airdrop. So using $100, for example, and being able to farm 2, maybe 3 airdrops all at once with the same $100. Really, really great concept when it comes to making your money really work for you. So first of all, what are some of the top websites when it comes to farming and finding airdrops? Well, there's really 4 that stand out to me. And me personally, I wouldn't just use one and none of the rest. I go to each one of these because each one has a little bit of a unique aspect, and each one has some that aren't listed on the others. So I want to make sure I'm really covered by everything that I'm looking at when it comes to airdrops. So the first one is called airdrops.io, and then the next one is called airdrops.com. So both of them very, very similarly named. Airdrops.io is kind of like an OG in the space. You can see some of the latest drops, hottest drops, and updated drops. So these are some, they're going to show confirmed. Some are going to show non-confirmed or kind of like an unknown. And I think one of the things that is super, super cool. So for example, Meteora, let's just pull this one up. So it gives you a very decent breakdown of what it is. And it actually gives you step-by-step guides, very detailed guides as to how to participate, things to do. So that way you're not wasting your time trying to figure out what do I need to do to at least get your foot in the door. I used airdrops.io when it came to Monad, being able to participate in some of the ecosystem projects, and I got qualified for the Monad airdrop, probably one of the bigger airdrops, maybe outside of Meteora, that is happening. So highly, highly recommend using airdrops.io. It's a great quality platform, very, very simple to navigate. You can kind of get a little bit lost because you don't really know, it does, it shows some of the latest, some of the hottest, but it's kind of hard to kind of gauge a lot of details with this type of outline. Now, the other one is crypto.dots or airdrops.com. Now, airdrops.com is a lot more customizable, which I think is really, really cool. The UX user interface is a lot cleaner, at least in my opinion. And you can see this is more of an in-depth review of this. So you actually have a video that you can watch, the airdrop farming steps to it, and then project overview. It just has a ton of information. That is one of the things I do like about this specific site. And it has the ability for you to comment and talk to other people about it. So I think this is probably one of the better out there just because it's super, super clean. It has a lot of the great projects, but I would say it does come off, it's not really only, I mean, there are a lot of airdrops here, but there's a lot of things outside of just airdrops on here. So me personally, my initial reaction is kind of salesy just because it throws all the content from a channel, crypto news. For me, I only scroll down here and I look just for the airdrop content. I don't really care about anything else. But if you like some news and airdrops together, maybe airdrops.com is the place to go. You can see some unconfirmed ones. Like I said, this is the cool thing as far as the filter aspect. But I would say, maybe not as the most up to date. For example, Monad obviously has an airdrop. It doesn't have that updated. There's a couple of others out here that also have updated details. And so these may be a little bit on the late side, as some of these have already occurred, and there may not be any further airdrops. So that's why I said you have to use multiple platforms. These are just the top two. I do like the likes of DappRadar and the one that you have by CryptoRank. These two I think are very, very good, and they give you a lot of information without having to click on it, right? So for example, I like this one a whole lot because you can see how much that project has raised, confirmed, and then some of the task types. So I think this is really, really cool. Seeing this, I think this is probably CryptoRank and the likes of DappRadar are some of the more updated ones. But I really, really like these two. Very, very clean to see. You can see the type of status, airdrops, points, and then you can kind of see, who have been the companies that have raised capital for these, the task types. You can click on the task types and you can kind of get some ideas. You also have some really, really good visuals that back it up. So like I said, really, really great with what you have there. And then you also have the likes of DappRadar. DappRadar has some pretty good stuff. I would say maybe not as much. I mean, we look at this list, there's not as much on here compared to other platforms. That's why you have to use multiple platforms. So those are the 4 websites. I'll leave them down below so you can go and check them out. Maybe there's a project that you haven't heard about, and now all of a sudden you can get early in on it and farm that airdrop. Now, the biggest thing that I always struggle with is I can find an airdrop, right? But I struggle with following up. There's life happens, things get in the way, and I get distracted by other things that are happening in crypto that I forget about the airdrop. And so having a calendar is super, super helpful. And that's why I like this platform called Watcher. Watcher actually allows you to create a calendar with the different airdrops that you're tracking. So for example, here are some of the airdrops that you can join. Extend, Liminal, Hyperliquid Season 2, and you can track these and you can put them on your to-do list. You can see some of the things that you can go and complete. You can get these scheduled as well. It is super, super cool. Probably one of the most unique platforms out there when it comes to being able to make sure that you're fully engaged in keeping track of the different airdrops that are coming out. I just want to show this very briefly so you can kind of see how some people have I thought I had a picture loaded, maybe not, but you would be able to see, there was a calendar that someone shared of all the different airdrops, how much they've gotten completed, the remaining airdrops to farm, how many steps you've completed. So it is super, super helpful. I think it is probably one of the most unique platforms. I'll leave a link to it down below as well. So that's the first part, where to go and how to make sure you're kind of getting and staying on top of it. Now, the most important part is the airdrop, but how do you earn towards that airdrop? And sometimes, obviously, every project is going to be a little bit different, but there's a lot of unique aspects behind using social media, and you don't have to have a large account. I've seen some of these accounts from 1,000 to 3,000 followers be able to qualify for airdrops through SocialFi, social finance. And so there's really 3 platforms specifically that have been doing this very, very well. So you have the likes of Kato or Kaido AI. You have the likes of Quacks, Wallchain Quacks, and then you have an up-and-coming one called Zeet. Now, these are all very, very similar. Essentially, there are projects that partner up with, for example, Kaido or Kato. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but a lot of these projects give away tokens, or percentage of their tokens are allocated. So, for example, with Infinite Labs, the top 2,000 creators, that's a wide range of creators, over the next 3 months are going to get 2 million in tokens. that for anyone is very, very attainable. Some of these have monthly rewards. So for example, it's not tokens for an airdrop, but Arbitrum, for example, is giving away 700,000 ARB tokens for the top 150 creators over the next 3 months. That's a decent amount of money over the next 3 months. Some of them kind of mix it, right? For example, Theo has a percentage of the supply and they have a monthly payment. So these are great ways for up and coming content creators and new content creators, and maybe ones that already have an existing profile, to qualify for airdrops through these projects without spending any money. It's very simple to create, and I'm personally on a separate note have created a bot that allows me to be able to run a Python script that posts content about each one of these projects automatically to my X profile with good quality posts without having to actually go in and create posts. It's all AI and it's all automated. Still has some tweaking, a lot of learning to do, but those are some of the unique things, especially when you tie in AI agents, where all of this gets automated and you don't have to do a whole lot for it. So very, very similar to what you see with the likes of Wallchain Quacks. Wallchain Quacks is a lot earlier. So for me, I joined this one a lot earlier than I did Kaido. So this one, I'm very happy to be able to get my early cracker NFT. And so there's a lot of benefits. There's great ways. And typically what you want to see, Kaido is very, very crowded. But you're going to see some of these that also have different projects. For example, Wallchain Quacks has projects that aren't listed on Kaido. Same thing with Zeet. When you see on Zeet, you have projects on Zeet like Solstice that aren't on other SocialFi platforms. So this is one also that I highly recommend if you're partnering with or working with any of these 3 SocialFi platforms, you're posting content about these. If you're going to do 3 or 4 posts a day, do a post for each project on each platform. So that way you're not only becoming eligible for the project you're posting about, but also for the platform's airdrop as well. For example, Kaido had an airdrop. There's probably going to be a Quacks airdrop. There's probably going to be an airdrop for Z. These all have point systems. This kind of ties into the last thing that I want to talk about, and that is double farming. So you can double farm with platforms like this, especially when they plan on having airdrops. So not only are you earning points and being able to earn an airdrop for Abstract, you're also earning points or Z points to be able to get an airdrop in Z tokens once that goes live. So for example, when I look at my profile, I have a total of 10 total Zeets. And for me, it's not creating, tons of crazy content. It's just simply posting good quality post informational content about some of the things that are happening with some of these projects. Very, very simple to do, very easy to do, and it's free. That is, in my opinion, the best part about it. Now, the other aspect outside of this is the aspect of multi-farming. So, for example, using $100 and contributing that into a liquidity pool on a certain platform that allows you to double dip. And these kind of mix with the one that we just talked about. So, for example, I put out a post talking about Arbitrum, talking about Kaido, talking about Theo, because for the current platform, if you look at Kaido, there's a portion of Theo tokens, TH bills, and Arbitrum. So it's really 3 birds, 1 stone, and well, technically 4 birds, because I've got Kaido, I've got Arbitrum, I've got Theo network for the airdrop, and then I also have the monthly, right? So that is for farming. I don't know how to properly say it, but you're essentially contributing to 4 different aspects to be able to potentially earn from. And that kind of ties into, for example, Theo network, right? One of the things I talked about is you can contribute, if you're wanting to earn towards the Theo airdrop, you can contribute either to the DEX or to the money markets. Now, Project X, we've talked about Project X on the channel before, you can earn points through Project X. So for example, I have points right now that I've accrued from providing liquidity on some of these different trades. So for example, I was providing liquidity for Hype and USDT 0, and you can earn yield and trading fees for doing so. So for example, there is the USDT 0 and TH bill where you can contribute, provide liquidity in both assets, not only generate some APRs, not an insane amount of APR, but you're also able to earn points towards Project X potential airdrop, and you earn points towards Theo because it is an in-network DEX that they've collaborated with that you can earn points from. So that is what I'm talking about when it comes to multi-farming 2 or 3 projects at the same time with the same money. That, in my opinion, is the best way to do it. But that is really all it takes. Yes, there's a lot more to it. The time and effort and energy, oftentimes going through, it may take a couple of hours, but as we've seen with 2025, a couple of hours a week can turn into $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be getting one of the biggest airdrops you'll ever receive just by spending a little bit of time and contributing to these projects. I'd love to hear your thoughts on farming airdrops. What are your thoughts about it? What are some of the biggest ways and best criteria that you use? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, smash up the like. You enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. Until next time, guys, stay invested.